Welcome to the We're Good podcast, where we are celebrating the everyday brilliance of people working toward a more positive world. If you're looking for the good that's taking place around you, you've come to the right place. What if one mentor could change a young person's future? Many Asian American and Pacific Islander youth are navigating two worlds while confronting myths that often hide their real challenges.
In the Asian American community, age 14 to 24, suicide is the #1 cause of death.
Today on the We're Good podcast, we meet Asian American LEAD, or AALEAD as it's known, an extraordinary organization helping youth find their voice, build confidence, and discover new opportunities through mentorship and leadership, and why that ripple effect strengthens our entire community today on the We're Good podcast. Welcome back to the We're Good podcast. I'm Lee Ann Necessary Brownlee, your host, and we are happy to be back in studio and joined by some amazing women who are leaders and mentors in a very important organization, AALEAD. And of course, if you haven't heard of AALEAD, you're about to. You're about to hear some amazing journeys and stories. And of course, what's amazing is it's been around for 28 years. And we are so excited to be joined today by the Executive Director, Cheung Rossmark. We appreciate you being here with us, and you have a great story. We're going to be telling it in just a minute. And also, thank you so much, Arti Bhatt. Thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely.
And you're on the board.
Correct.
And also a volunteer and a mentor
Correct.
to the youth. Sue, let's just get right off. I was just asking you, I said, do I say Asian American LEAD? And you said, you know what? Let's talk about what AALEAD stands for, because it talks a lot about your mission. If you'll just share with us, what is AALEAD?
Sure. First of all, I just wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk and share a little bit about what AALEAD is. AALEAD stands for Asian American Leadership, Empowerment, and Development for Youth. And we started out 28 years ago, initially just to help Vietnamese refugees in DC, and they were coming here not speaking language and needed a lot of help. And where we've become now is this regional organization serving DC, Montgomery County, Fairfax County, and Arlington County. And we serve over 500 youths last year and 23 different Asian American ethnicities.
Say that again.
23 different Asian American ethnicities.
Amazing.
From just Vietnamese to now like this bigger AAPI community.
Yeah, and we're going to get into your mission and why this is so important through your journey. I want to talk with Arti about how she kind of came into, how did you find out about AALEAD?
Also, I actually met Sue. Sue and I both serve as commissioners on the Governor's Commission. I'm on the South Asian Commission, and Sue's on the Asia Pacific Commission. And so she's a firecracker. Once you meet her once, you remember her. And she commands the room. And I saw her at the gala a couple of weeks ago for AALEAD, and she just works the space. And it is very consistent if it's there, if it's for AALEAD or the commissioner, the commission work. So I met Sue through our efforts with the commission. And I had seen her post on LinkedIn because I follow. And so I just thought, I'm like, this is just another way for me to be able to give back. You know, it's looking forward and giving back and ensuring that I'm doing my part in whatever little way I possibly can to make some difference. If I'm going to be a catalyst, or if I can at least impact some youth, someone's life. And so I reached out to her, and she said, yeah, the window is still open, and met her team a couple of weeks thereafter. And I was just overjoyed when they reached out and said, yeah, congratulations.
That's awesome. And of course, you said she's a firecracker. She knows how to work a room, and there's a reason for that. So let's take our audience back a little bit. You know how to work a room because you are the owner and the chef of some very popular restaurants in the area.
Yeah. So
that was how you started.
Well, I've been connected to AALEAD for like 18 years. And how I got started was just as a volunteer. It started with a good friend of mine's, Bhatt, who said, Sue, do you have some toys that you can donate to the youth during the holiday time? That's a very low ask, but at the same point, it's such a big deal. And so that year I got some presents and I gave it to him. And then because I love cooking and I've had many restaurants in my career. And so people like to come to my house parties. And so people would come to my house party and they'd always bring wine and things that nobody really even needs to eat or drink. So I said, you don't have to come with anything, but if you insist, bring an unwrapped toy. And so by the time the party was done, my friend comes to pick up the toys. It was an entire carload. And at that point, he's like, Sue, you got all these toys for the kids. Why don't you come down to the center and watch us give it to them? And that is the hook, line, and sinker, because when I saw those kids' face just light up, I mean, if your family is thinking about putting the roof over their head and the food on the table, they're going to maybe get you something for the holidays, but you're not getting these amazing toys. And so when I saw that face, that expression, it kind of got me hook, line, and sinker. And here I am, 18 years later? And if you would have told me then that I'd be the executive director of this org, I'd probably be like, you're out of your mind.
But you are. And so what is your why? Obviously that had you, as you said, hook, line, and sinker. But what is it about AALEAD that you would want our audience to know about what the important work that you're doing?
I think that there is this thing called the model minority myth. And I feel like AAPI Heritage Month is just a really important time to talk about that myth, because everyone kind of like lumps all Asians together. But we're not all the same and same background. And actually, I grew up unlike what the myth is. The stereotype is that all Asians are smart. They all go to Ivy League. They don't need help. But I grew up in DC public schools. There was 11 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment. And my bedroom was the walk-in closet floor that I shared with my sister. And our dresser was the floor where our feet is, because we didn't have that many clothes. And there was no space to put a dresser in the walk-in closet. So that's how I put my clothes, just folded and put under, So I really, like the youth that we serve, the need, I really resonate with that. And
it's still there.
It's still there. It's still there, because what you don't understand is maybe the Vietnamese refugees that came here 28 years ago, but what about the Mongolians that are coming here now? There's so many that's different. And when you think about like the blue collar workers and who's working in nail salons, who's cleaning the hotels, who's working in the restaurants, right? And those kids, while the parents are working those 12, 15, 16 hours a day, like who is helping those kids with their homework? Who's there when they come home? They're really fending for themselves like I did. So I really love AALEAD and what it does, because I know what struggles I went through. My parents didn't know English. I was signing my own permission slips. I was reading the mail and translating for them. I had to be the grown-up versus being a kid. And like last week we did a check-in question with my team, and it was like, what game did you play as a kid that really like you remember forever? And I'm like, we didn't play any games because we didn't go on vacations. And who had time for board games? It was like, go work so that you can help to pay the bills. So it was really not a childhood. And I just really think, what if there's something I could do to help those kids not have to struggle the way I did? And so that's really my why I went from a for-profit business to working in nonprofit to like all that I do now, because I love what AALEAD does and the difference it makes. And because I've been here for 18 years, I've seen the young kids that I meet, and they like are shy, they're timid, because a lot of Asian cultures, like part of it is be quiet. You don't want to be heard. You don't want to be seen. You're just supposed to put your head down and keep working. And so I meet these kids that are really quiet and shy and timid. And then I see them again, and they're like, and they're like, oh, I want to give the speech. Oh, and so watching them just transform into these amazing young adults and then going off to college, it's just very rewarding.
Yeah. And we want to get into some of you're going to take us through a day. So everybody, hold on. You're going to take us through a day at AALEAD. But I wanted, Arti, your story is a little similar to Sue. We were talking earlier. Can you share how?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we immigrated to this country. My siblings and I were born in India. We moved here 5, 6, 7 at a very young age. So we genuinely grew up here, and it was very humble beginnings. And it wasn't an opportunity. I'm just thinking about what Sue was saying, and I was just reflecting back on. I have a son, 12, and he had said to me, you've missed 2 of my games. He plays flag football, and I just was thinking, I never had parents come out to any of the games because there was no time. They were working multiple jobs. And so I just said, you know what, you're right. I'm going to be at the Sunday game. I'm going to go. I'm going to be there. Because for him, that's not, I'm not going to have him reflect on my experience, right? His experience is his own. And so for us growing up, my parents weren't able to come to the games. I think I remember my father coming to one chorus concert in high school. And that was like a big deal, right?
Right, you're remembering it.
Right.
Yeah.
He wasn't ever able to join. And we just grew up in a way that it was a very loving home. It was, my parents were as engaged and involved as they could be when they had the time, right? Working multiple jobs. And I think, growing up, you relied on, I have an older sister and a younger brother, and really it was, relying on her for some of those meals. And eventually more of our family started to immigrate from India. And, my aunt moved here. She lived with us. And so now having 3 adults, right, they could disseminate between all of the different responsibilities and kind of spread those out. And so I think for me, it's just always looking back and ensuring that, the information that I didn't have growing up, and not because my parents didn't want to share it. You don't know what you don't know. And if you don't grow up in a culture where parents are college graduates and they've gone through different programs, they just don't know, right? The only thing that they did teach us, and this is across the entire Asian diaspora, is education. Education is your unlock, right? That is your unlock. And I think that's pretty consistent through many immigrant communities, which is education. Focus on education. We don't know about this scholarship or this opportunity or this internship, but we do know that if you continue your education, you'll learn. And so I think for me, being a part of the governor's commission, being a part of AALEAD, serving on the Racial Equity Committee in Frederick County, it's just an opportunity for me to ensure that those kids that are coming here from families that may have just immigrated, or coming here from families where parents don't speak the English as a first language, understand that there are vast opportunities. And your parents may not know, but I guarantee you your vast network is going to know. And we're going to help steer you in the direction, whatever it is that you want to do. If it's sports, academics, any kind of extracurriculars.
Right.
I think just having that opportunity to be able to give back is quite important, because I think we know what that looks like growing up when you didn't have those opportunities. And now you learn. I didn't have internship opportunities in high school because I didn't know, right? So I think it's just a really great way to ensure that the next generation coming forward has those opportunities, understands. And then I always say, look back, always look back and see what ways you're able to give to the generation that's behind you, because there's always going to be more people coming forward.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you were saying, was that connection.
Yeah.
Making the mentoring is so important. So Sue, tell us, Arti has just shared, thank you both for sharing your stories and your journeys. So what is it like at AALEAD? Obviously, you have these amazing people that are there to mentor and support the kids, but also the kids are doing hard work themselves, right?
Yeah, and I think Arti brought up a really great point, and that's like aunt came and aunt was living there. So in a lot of Asian American households, it's multi-generational. So you're not just getting pressure from parents, you're also getting the pressure from the grandparents, in addition to maybe aunts and uncles that are also living there. But grandparents are almost like a common thing. And so I think all too often, I think all young people have some level of pressure, but I think Asian Americans even more so, because so much of it is like what you're supposed to be like. You're supposed to be like this. You're supposed to be like that. And so now, why can't you be like so-and-so? And that's always like what you hear. But you're getting that pressure from your parents. You're getting it from your grandparents. And so a lot of Asian American youth, and I really feel like this is important to talk about. Mental wellness is critical. We don't want to talk about it because it's like, don't put your dirty laundry out there, right? Always have that smile. When someone asks you how things are, you just say, great, even if they're not. But deep down, in the Asian American community, age 14 to 24, suicide is the #1 cause of death. So it's not a car accident, it's not cancer, it's suicide. Because there's so much pressure and things that you're holding inside. So what AALEAD does is we help youth with social emotional learning. Our mentor program allows a youth to be matched with a responsible adult. We vet the adult, but we also don't say, here's an adult, here's a youth, go figure it out.
Right.
We create opportunities where the youth and the adult could have like structured play, but we create events where they can get together. We also have events where they aren't together, like with us. They're on doing whatever they want. We train all of our mentors, and so that they become that trusted big brother, big sister. Because you're not going to tell your parents what's going on with you, right? But you could trust that person, and that guidance can make a huge difference between a young person going the right way or the wrong way. So one of our programs is mentorship. Another program is our after-school program. So after school, we go into the middle schools and high schools. So that's the age group. And what we do is we make sure that there's a curriculum so that it's not the same thing all the time. But we create this safe space. We fill the gap because a lot of times parents aren't home. So you get out of school, parents aren't home. That is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
That is how the kids get into the gangs. That's how they get into the trouble. So we create that safe space and they go home when the after school bell rings. And then our summer program, and all of our programs are free.
That's wonderful.
So our summer program is 5 weeks, all free. It's like summer camp. Think about this. If you're trying to put food on a table and care for your youth, you're not really able to afford summer camp. And so our 5 weeks of summer camp, what we do is 4 days are instructional. And so we focus on STEAM. So there's arts, there's science. It's all kinds of things that we do. We bring in guest speakers. We keep it really interesting. And then 1 day is field trip.
Oh, fun.
So kids can be kids.
Yeah.
And they can go to museum. They might do something, but we make sure that they get the full experience. So that's kind of like the programs that we offer. And we have seen the success. We have actually one of our coordinators is a student that was in our high school program at Wheaton and now wanted to come back and be a coordinator. We've had
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle.
That's great.
Our 30th anniversary is coming up and we're going to be doing this huge, we already know the theme. It's Where Are They Now? And
awesome.
we're going to really be
heard it
finding
first on We're Good Podcast.
There you go, right?
Love that.
And if
Where are you now?
And
if you're listening,
info@aalead.org, right?
There you go.
But we want to find them because
Yeah.
the stories are rich. The stories are rich, right? And that's really what shapes all of us. It's our stories. Don't look at where we are today. Always remember where you come from.
Yeah.
And I think that really makes you have a stronger why as you go forward.
I love that. You have such a strong why. It's so important. And Arti, you've been a real mentor at AALEAD. Do you want to share some of the things that you've learned? Maybe, and I know we're learning from the youth too, right?
Oh, 1,000%. I have 2 boys, 12 and 6. They teach me every single day. Every single day.
Right.
The 6-year-old's telling me, did you know that this morning was the praying mantis? has wings but doesn't fly, and like
I didn't know.
I didn't know. And there's lots of things. I mean, I always say we always, as individuals, play two roles in our lives. I think we're always going to be a student. I am. And at some point in my life, if I'm lucky enough, which I am as a mother, to become a teacher for someone. And I think I see that role as it's a privileged role to have in life to be a teacher. But I think for me, the joy in being a student, and that's learning in any aspect of your life, from the professional to the personal. But yeah, I mean, I think it's talking to them, learning from them as much as they are learning from us. Sue connected. We had an intern at AALEAD, and she is now on her way to first year undergrad. And she just had a lot of questions, as you do going into undergrad. And I, as my day job, I'm a DEI practitioner. I know the word DEI. I know that is quite conflicted right now, but at the core, it is equity work, it's justice work, and that is what I do. That is what I pivoted into that world, and she was really interested in that space. And to me, when I see young people expressing interest in these types of areas, it makes me feel hopeful for the future, because as much as we want these top tier engineers and doctors and lawyers, and these are all areas that a lot of Indian families will obviously dedicate their lives, professional lives to, which is well needed. But I think there is also a part in this world where these young people are learning to do good, but that you can do as your day job, right? And so to me, I think mentorship is extremely important. And, there's all types of mentor-mentee relationships. There's the formal relationships that I think probably a lot of us have had throughout our professional careers. And there's also the personal ones that just cultivate naturally. And I think both have positives, right? They both serve in some aspect. My mentor to date was because he was a gentleman that I worked with, and he was a VP, and he was supporting some of the ERG work at Nike. And it was just a natural relationship that was built up. I found myself going to him often for all kinds of challenges or just questions, or what do you think about this? And what is your thought on this?
Which you're able to do at AALEAD, and
Absolutely.
be able to answer some questions.
And I think that was really important with Karis, and just obviously she's asking and wanting to learn, but I'm also asking, right? And I think that back and forth for a mentor-mentee relationship is essential.
So important. And of course, you are there all the time at AALEAD. Do you want to share with our audience some of the things that you see?
The kids are amazing. I'll just share, like this weekend.
Yeah.
We were at the Fairfax Festival on Main Street. I think probably about 20,000 people were there. I don't even think it was just from Fairfax. I think everyone came from all over.
Sure.
But our youth were there selling keychains they made. And they used a 3D printer to make the cutest little bamboo steamers and put bows in them. So bows would be like hamburgers, but Asian hamburgers. And so they put bows in them.
Did you give them that idea, Sid?
I wish. I wish. I'm not that talented.
I don't know about that.
I will tell you, young people are amazing. All they need is encouragement to what do you think? How do you feel? Go with your guts. And when people believe in young people, you would just be amazed. Really,
and you're
just
giving them
watching
confidence.
Right? I will tell you, that is our goal. That youths that come into our program, you know what? You're going to learn math and English and history. That's what schools are for. But they don't always help young people build confidence. And when you have a confident young person, they can conquer the world. And so that's really what I see with my very own eyes. We have something that's almost like a carved out separate program. It's called Youth Council. If you go to our website, you'll actually see our Youth Council fellows, and they operate like a board of directors. Cool. And so they're the ones that make sure that youth voices are heard. But at the same point, they pick a project every year. And so One year they did the gentrification of Chinatown, and they did that in DC, and they did that as a 2-year project, and they were actually recognized nationally and was asked to like talk about it with developers, with this conference. So they're getting a lot of exposure. But so our youth council, like you have to apply to get in, and you have to do a whole resume. And then the things we do, like helping them to build their LinkedIn profile, to take professional pictures, to learn how to do a resume. We had youth that when in our resume classes, they learned how to get a part-time job over the summer or after school.
That's great.
I had a young person who I met 2 years ago. She was going to speak at our annual dinner. And so we were going to work with her on the speech. And she's like, I'm not available until like 10:30, 11. And so I was like, oh, what are you doing? She's like, I work. And I'm like, oh, so does your parents have a business or something? She's like, no, I just have a job because I need to make money. Yeah, because she's in a kind of difficult family situation and was told that the minute you turn 18, you're out the door.
Okay.
And so she was saving for that. And so like you don't know what kind of situations people are in. So, again, it breaks my heart, but we have to know what resources to provide youth or families with when they're going through different things.
Right. And you're listening and you're connecting and you're mentoring.
Yeah.
So, these always go very fast, these discussions, but thank you all for what you're doing. I do want to ask, though, our closing question is always the same of our guests, and it's one of our favorite moments because we get to hear. If you could peel back the curtain, our audience likes to know what makes your organization, what makes AALEAD so special that maybe they wouldn't read about on the website. Arti?
I think for me, AALEAD, it provides a service that for a community that I think just the myth, right, that the Asian diaspora has the support, has the finances, has the family that will be in there to be there after school and be there on the weekends. And I think AALEAD proves that, yeah, that's really not the situation. And I think what you won't find that on the website. So know that the programs that this organization is spearheading are much needed, are essential, and there's real impact. It's a catalyst, right? It's a catalyst for creating change in these young people's lives. And I think you may not necessarily get all of that language on the website. There's a lot of information there.
Oh, yeah, it's a great website.
But I think there's many nonprofits that are dedicated to youth empowerment. And I think AALEAD, it's doing its part for not only the Asian diaspora, but just the youth diaspora throughout the DMV.
Because it's a ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%.
Sue, how about you? What's the one thing? I know it's hard to narrow
so many
down.
things.
Yeah.
I think that I want folks to know that you don't have to be Asian American to be part of AALEAD. We definitely have an Asian American focus because that's in our name.
Sure.
But we're also an open door. Because if my best friend is not Asian and they want to be in the after school program with me, of course they can join. So we're only about 60-something% Asian American. And then the other 40% is all communities of color. And so what was really interesting was last year, we had a youth in our program who was Latin American testify before a budget hearing. And in the budget hearing, he mentions AALEAD because he's part of our program. And so I love the fact that we are, this open door policy because young people and all of us need to learn how to just be together, right? And work together. And so you start that at a very young age, probably wouldn't have half the problems we have at this world.
Such a good point. And you said that we had the English Empowerment Center on, and you said that you and Rupal work together.
Well, actually, I'm going to tell you the truth. I look at Rupal as like my mentor. And she
awesome.
used to be on the AALEAD board way before I came along. But we also believe that we need to work together as nonprofits out there. It's a really, I would say, tough and challenging time, especially the last year and a half. And so we have a group of just executive directors that really lean on each other. We help each other with different resources, and Rupal is a part of that. And then we're also, Rupal introduced me to the Fairfax Alliance for Human Services. So I'm now on that board. And what we do is we actually look at the budgets of the whole Fairfax County. We take different parts of it, and we actually meet with each of the Board of Supervisors and give sort of our group feedback. But I think it's so important to really help each other and get through this time together. And so I love that kind of networking. So and actually I just emailed Rupal this morning, like, in June, we got to go do lunch because May is just a crazy month with AAPI Heritage.
But I just love how the nonprofits work together. And we see that so much from the podcast. And that's just wonderful to know that, the communities just expand, the ripple effect, as we were talking about. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Sue. And thank you so much both for being here today. We just greatly appreciate it. We want you, of course, like we said, even though we said what was not on your website, there's a lot on the website. So be sure to go to their website. It will be linked to ours, we'regood.net. We want you to share this episode with someone you care about today, because they need to know about AALEAD and all the good things going on throughout the communities. Because as we like to say, we're good and you're good, and we can all make a difference.